I will start this question with a story. In Turkey, before we start oncology, we generally doing internal medicine residency, which is 4 years. And then we are doing obligatory duty. In rural areas, we are working as internists. So one day I have met one of my close friends in obligatory duty in a rural city, which is my personal psychiatrist, Mali, one of my close friends. And when we were sitting across, and he asked me about my career, and he said, Enes, you have many papers, haven't you? I mean, you have been successful. And I said, well, I have been lucky. No big deal. And he said, it sounds like modesty, but I am not buying it. I mean, there is a name for this pushback whenever we talks about your achievements and success, and it is imposter syndrome. So it's the first time I have heard about imposter syndrome on that time. It is the situation generally also observed in high achiever. They are tend to not to internalize our achievements or success, and we contribute and link this success to luck or networking or overworking. So it is kind of intellectual self-doubt about our accomplishment. We generally underestimate our achievements and success. And the easiest way to describe having imposter syndrome, to tell you the creepiest best friends, to have creepiest best friends in your head who always says mean things about you. I mean, you don't deserve to be here. They will discover out you don't know what you are doing. You did for this time, but next time maybe you cannot do it. So it is the mean voice in your head who underestimate our achievements and success, and to fear of being exposure by the other people, to discover out like we are like a fraud, even if we don't lie anything. It is actually recognized is 1978 by Clance. Uh, she made a perfect scale which evaluated in 20 items, and in the first years they were emphasized that it is more common in the female. So there are many publications who says female it is more common in the females, and but there the men's also affected by the imposter syndrome. So we are not sure, but there are some publications which says that female there is some gender bias and female much more affected by the imposter syndrome. And there are also some hypotheses that even in the meetings there are some gender bias, and many many high achiever women in the meetings, they generally frame their questions as a suggestions to avoid seeming abrasive. But in the opposite, if men ask a question in the meetings, it has a positive effect in the audience. So there is gender bias, which also could cause leads to imposter syndrome in the women. There are some challenges, there are some barriers, so there are some gender bias. Maybe it's the reason why female might experience more imposter syndrome. So it is not only about person themselves, but also community has some gender bias. And also in our survey, we are doing a global survey, and we are also trying to search, is there any race also which experience more imposter syndrome? Because also maybe racism and other minority issues also could lead to imposter syndrome. So it is not only personal character stuff. Maybe the community or organization policy or community mistakes could also cause this kind of bad experience. Recently, I have attended ESMO Resilience course. which is one of the perfect opportunity to share or concern and also uh, or common problems. And I have a proposal for preventing imposter syndrome, and we have initiated as a multi-center survey, and we have evaluating three scales. One of them is cleanse imposter scale, because as oncologists we are all high achievers and we are all ambitious people. And one of the reason, it's a subjective idea, one of the reason to have imposter syndrome is actually coming from the not to have realistic expectation. Because as a quite as a ambitious oncologist, we expect ourselves lots of things, and we expect from the others many things. So the feeling of less accomplishment and imposter also comes from exactly from this point. Because if I think that I am the best researcher, I am the best cancer researcher in the world, I have a model like appearance, uh, I am prone to fail at a point, because the reality is not that. So we need to calibrate our expectations, and uh, our hypothesis is, as a high achiever, as a ambitious people, as a perfection oncologist, maybe we could more uh, prone to experience imposter syndrome. So that's why we are doing that survey. We are doing one survey about imposter syndrome. We are doing another scale about perfectionism, because generally imposter syndrome comes with painful perfectionism. And as an oncologist, we are trying to do not do any mistakes, because uh, we care our patients, and we are trying to not to fail, not to mistake. We are trying to be perfect about everything. And at a point, it's also causes. Even if you do lots of things, uh, it's also causes a feeling that less accomplishment. So we are trying to also evaluate perfectionism scale and also imposter, and we are trying to master burnout inventory, which also evaluates burnout. So we are trying to find out how common really is imposter syndrome among oncologists, and does it really cause out burnout, and perfectionism is also company with the imposter syndrome. We are trying to evaluate three components of these scales. One of the strategy is sharing and creating awareness, and which I really give importance about the workshops like ESMO Resilience, and I really wish to continue many years like these courses. And I am also trying to create this kind of workshops in a national level. So one of the thing is to share our concerns, because we are not alone. We experience this kind of things, and the more I talk to about imposter syndrome with the people, the more I realize it's actually more common than I expected. So one of the best solution is to create awareness and to share our concerns. And it is a also good things to not to feel alone. And if you can share your concern, and if you openly share your problem, it also decreases the feeling of imposter syndrome. So one of the solution is workshop. Secondly, mentorship is really very important. Uh, and ESMO, ESO, and ASCO have lots of opportunities to, at least as a virtual mentorship, who you can get a help from a leader on the field, who can guide you, who can show you the path, and who can at least see your vulnerabilities. And we are prone to make a mistake to not to show our vulnerabilities, to hide our vulnerabilities. Generally, we couldn't show or problems to not to seem like vulnerable, but it's not a bad thing to seems like vulnerable. So mentorship is really important to at least get a guide from a leader who can at least give some suggestions to this kind of issues, and it's also really best way to learn how they handle this kind of problems, how they manage it. So mentorship is also very important. Thirdly, it is not about us, it is about organization policy. One of the reason why we experience burnout and imposter is coming from workload, because we see maybe 30 patients in a day, and then we get a night shift and we get a call, and also we have families, we are trying to do also some research, academic research, and at a point we get a mm, burnout, because uh, we are trying to do everything best, but uh, to not to spend time with the patients enough is also uh, lead to burnout and imposter. So we need to talk with stakeholders, organization policy, to also see our sites and our perspective or problems. Uh, and also we should talk with them to uh, get a equitable role from everyone about race, and like uh, initiative like Women for Oncology. It is also important because we talk as before, women experience imposter syndrome more. So we should also encourage and support them in this field. So ESMO has a also another group like Women for Oncology, and also at nation level this year we created an initiative like Women for Oncology in Turkey too. So this kind of initiative is also important to prevent imposter syndrome, specifically high risk group like gender and race and minorities.